Let's talk about the Cleveland Browns. This team is 2-7. After they had a very good win over the Baltimore Ravens a couple of weeks ago, Jameis Winston goes out there and he returns back to his normal self. He had 3 interceptions against the Los Angeles Chargers. And to be real with you guys, against the Baltimore Ravens, he could have easily thrown 3 to 4 interceptions. The defenders just dropped the ball for the entire game. Jameis Winston is a quarterback that you look at, solid backup. That's it. On a week-to-week basis, he's not going to go out there and be a very good starter because of the turnovers. I understand he had LASIK surgery. Maybe he needs to have LASIK again because this man constantly turns the football over. This was a problem in college. I've never seen a quarterback like Jameis Winston before, to where it would be a wide open wide receiver and he would hit them right in the stride, right on the money. It goes for a touchdown. The next drive, the man comes out and he would throw it straight to the linebacker. He can't see the field, and he's a veteran quarterback at this stage of the game. The reason why the Cleveland Browns are in the worst situation possible is because you traded for Deshaun Watson, and Deshaun Watson is an injury-prone quarterback at this stage of his career. And not only just that, Deshaun Watson is a terrible quarterback as well. He's not good. And I look at the Cleveland Browns ownership. They deserve all the blame. We could talk about Kevin Stefanski, Andrew Berry, all those people, and rightfully so. But the Haslam family has been terrible with the management with this team. You have very good defensive players. You have very good offensive players. But this quarterback situation has been a massive problem for the last 20 to 30 years with the Cleveland Browns. We've seen numerous quarterbacks come and go. And Baker Mayfield was the last consistent quarterback that they had. And Baker Mayfield had a lot of good seasons and a lot of bad seasons as well with the Cleveland Browns. But look at the coaching situation. Hugh Jackson, his first season. Freddie Kitchens, second season. Kevin Stefanski, and then Baker Mayfield, his last season, was injury riddled with a shoulder injury and with a hip injury as well. The man played majority of the season with a torn labrum. And they throw him to the wayside to the Carolina Panthers for Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson has had a couple of good games here and there with the Cleveland Browns, but over the last couple of years, he hasn't been good enough. And you also look at it from this standpoint. Deshaun Watson has missed so much time. This man missed majority of last season dealing with a shoulder injury. He's missed majority of this season. He's going to miss the rest of the season dealing with a torn Achilles injury. That's not an easy injury to come back from. It seems like ever since he had those allegations, nothing can go right for him on the field. And plus, he also missed time before that as well. He served a 12-game suspension, so he did not get to have OTAs and training camp fully with the team. You basically got sold a lemon. Deshaun Watson is not going to be a good quarterback anymore, especially in this division. Look at how physical this division is. The Cleveland Browns have a physical, very good defense, in my opinion. You also look at the Steelers with their pass rush and the Baltimore Ravens as well. This has been known as one of the most physical divisions in the NFL for many decades now. Deshaun Watson's body can't hold up. And I look at the Cleveland Browns, where do you go from here? Because you still have playmakers on this team. You have Cedric Tillman Jr., who I like a lot, Elijah Moore, and Jerry Jeudy. You made a trade to go out there and bring in Jerry Jeudy and Elijah Moore. You moved off of Amari Cooper at the time this season. Amari Cooper was not the same wide receiver that he once was. He had a lot of drops, and the Cleveland Browns wide receivers in general have had a lot of drops this season, and they're running the wrong routes. But with the right quarterback, we saw this against the Baltimore Ravens. They have talent, and you have David Njoku as well. You have to figure out this quarterback situation. The bad thing is this: if you move off of Deshaun Watson, which is a real possibility, you're going to be in salary cap hell. And I do believe the Cleveland Browns will eat the salary cap. They're going to move off of Deshaun Watson because of what Andrew Berry said in today's press conference. He wasn't very committal with Deshaun Watson long term. He said, we'll see how he looks after that Achilles injury, but everything's on the table. I think this would be a Denver Broncos situation. The Broncos went out there. They cut Russell Wilson. They're paying him for the next 2 years. The Cleveland Browns may say, Deshaun Watson, you're so bad. Yes, you have years left in your contract, but we have to let you go. And the Cleveland Browns fan base, they hate this man. Look at what happened when he got injured. Some of the fans were cheering that he got hurt. Now, I do not condone that, but I'm not going to tell you how to feel about an individual that has the allegations that he has had. That's for an entirely different video. And when Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah got injured, the Cleveland Browns fans, they were happy that he was okay when he got stretched off the field. You had a lot of Browns fans that were genuinely happy to see Deshaun Watson get injured, which sucks to see. So when I look at Deshaun Watson It seems like the offensive line doesn't like him as much. He's trying to help the offensive lineman up. They're not going for it. When Jameis Winston wants to help him up, they let Jameis Winston go out there and help them up. Deshaun Watson doesn't seem like the vocal leader that Jameis Winston is either. And it's not me saying that Jameis Winston is just a better quarterback than Deshaun Watson, which I do believe he is right now. So when I look at this Brown situation, you're paying this man so much money. You moved off of all the draft capital to bring him in. Those are signs of a poverty franchise. And I understand hindsight's 2020. At the time, it was a good move to bring in Deshaun Watson. But that man missed his last year with the Houston Texans because he set out and he was done with the franchise. You look at the Houston Texans now and you look at the Cleveland Browns. You also pour more salt into the wound. This team made the NFL playoffs last season. Look at how fast things can change because Deshaun Watson got injured. They went out there. They brought in Joe Flacco. He comes in. He sparks fire with this team. They go on a run. They make the NFL playoffs and they lose to the Houston Texans in the first round. They should have kept Joe Flacco around instead of going out there and bringing in Jameis Winston. Because I also do believe that Joe Flacco is a better backup quarterback right now than Jameis Winston. And he is having his struggles with the Indianapolis Colts here and there, yes. But Joe Flacco knows his system and he's pretty much a perfect fit for it. He's a gunslinger. That's what Kevin Stefanski is looking for. Baker Mayfield had success in this system with the weapons that he had. And you look at a guy like Nick Chubb. Now, Nick Chubb has not been the same since he came off that knee injury. And I do believe that Nick Chubb will never be the same running back that he once was due to those injuries to his knees. But at the same time, Nick Chubb has went against tough competition and he looks very good as a power back. You have Jerome Ford as well. There's talent with this Cleveland Browns team. But it's the mismanagement with the quarterback situation and with the draft picks over the last couple of years. When I look at this offensive line, Jedrick Wills Jr., he should never be a starting tackle ever again in the NFL. He's a bust. They have DeJuan Jones at the left tackle position. You have Jack Conklin at the right tackle position. He missed some time. You have Joe Bitonio, Ethan at the center position, and Wyatt Teller at the right guard position. Their offensive line can be better. But with the adjustments and the play calls, Kevin Stefanski makes the guys look better at certain points in times in the game. And Kevin Stefanski, he deserves to be on the hot seat as well, which is crazy to think about because, like I said, this man made the NFL playoffs last season with Nick Chubb missed the majority of the season. His starting offensive line pretty much being decimated. His starting quarterback in Deshaun Watson being out as well. Call in Joe Flacco. This man should have been coach of the year last season based off of that performance alone. But yet his job is in question right now due to the fact that this team does not have a consistent starting quarterback. And we could talk about Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Every single time that he plays, he looks terrible. He turns the football over. He's not ready to be a starter in the NFL, and he may never be. When I look at the defense, I have to give Kevin Stefanski a lot of credit for this as well. You moved off your previous defensive coordinator a couple of years ago in Joe Woods. You bring in Jim Schwartz last season. This was one of the best defenses in the NFL last season, and the talent is still there. The scheme is still there. The reason why this defense does not look the same is because the offense is 3 and out and it's a bunch of turnovers. You have Myles Garrett, who is still one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. You just traded Zadarius Smith to the Detroit Lions. At least you're getting something out of that deal. Now you're depending on Isaiah McGuire to go out there and to be a top pass rusher with the team. We'll see if that materializes. You have Winston Reed. Can he go out there? Can he be a good player with this team long term? I don't believe so. You have Denzel Ward. I worry about him because he suffered so many concussions so far up to this point. But you still have good corners behind him. You have Martin Emerson Jr., who's very good. You have Greg Newsome as well. Grant Delpit at the safety position. That's also a man that missed time last season. They still made the NFL playoffs. The Cleveland Browns have talent, but the problem is this. It's just not enough in this division. And last year may have just been an outlier year with the Cleveland Browns. I believe that it's time to just go out there and fully rebuild the entire team because you have aging veterans on the offensive line. Keep Myles Garrett for sure. You need to keep him around. That's a star pass rusher. Is there a world where they may go out there and trade him for numerous first round picks? Sure. But I don't see the benefit in doing that. And Myles Garrett loves Cleveland, and Cleveland loves Myles Garrett. And you have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah as well. Right now, he is missing time because of the injury that he suffered against the Baltimore Ravens when he got knocked out by Derrick Henry. But credit to him for taking Derrick Henry one-on-one. And he was giving Derrick Henry a lot of problems early in the game. I think the Cleveland Browns long term are in a dark situation because regardless of what you do with Deshaun Watson, you have to pay him. And that's on ownership. They sold their soul for nothing. For nothing at all. And I understand moving off of Baker Mayfield. I do. But going out there and giving Deshaun Watson a mega contract before he took a single snap with the team was the biggest mistake the Cleveland Browns could have ever made. And making a trade for him as well. I feel bad for Cleveland Browns fans. But this is the same Cleveland Browns franchise that has been able to land a franchise quarterback in many decades. But let me know in the comment section below, how do you guys feel about the Cleveland Browns? And is it a light at the end of this tunnel? I will say this as well. They're going to end up with a top draft pick. Maybe they get a guy like Cam Ward. Maybe they select him in the first round or they end up with the first overall pick. Maybe Shedeur Sanders. I find that laughable at this point because Deion Sanders is not going to let Shedeur Sanders go to the Cleveland Browns. And then after that, you have discussions about Quinn Ewers from Texas. That's not a first round quarterback to me. Then you may have a guy like Carson Beck. That's not a first round quarterback to me either. This is a weak quarterback class. Maybe the Cleveland Browns would go out there and bring in a veteran quarterback like how they did with Jacoby Brissett when he was basically the starter when Deshaun Watson was serving that 12-game suspension. You bring in a veteran guy and you possibly draft a quarterback in the 4th or 5th round and basically try to develop them long term. It's just a tough situation for the Cleveland Browns. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, I want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. God bless. Peace.